Well, it seems like winter is in full swing around here because I am immediately sick. As soon as the weather changed, I went under, and I'm sicker than I usually get, so I'm not really feeling too much like myself right now. But what I will say is that it got me thinking about a conversation I wanted to have with everybody here, and that's that when you're at your lowest low, that's when SHTF is going to happen, right? When you're sick, when you're not feeling like yourself, when you don't have any energy, when you're fully exasperated, that's exactly when the big one is going to go off. And that's something I really wanted to think about because, of course, the most inconvenient possible timing is the most likely. And that's what we really need to prepare for. We're not going to be at 100% guaranteed if things really start to fall apart. And we're also not going to have all of our resources, all of our supplies, and everything we ever wanted at our disposal if that time comes either, because that's just the way things work. It's kind of the natural law of order. You might be away from your home, you might be on vacation, you might be like me and be sick, or you might have some other issues going on. Imagine if SHTF happens today, right? And your bank account is negative 14, because if you haven't had a negative 14 bank account balance at some point in your life, then you probably haven't done really bad decision making either. But at the end of the day, that's probably the day that it's going to happen. When your paycheck hasn't gone through yet, you're sitting on negative 14 and you've been kind of just scraping by off of the supplies you already have put away in your pantry for the previous week until you got paid again. And that's how things work. That's what we should prepare for. So prepare to have this massive SHTF type scenario occur at the worst time possible for you. And for me right now, as somebody who usually has limitless energy, and for somebody who's usually very enthused about getting out and doing things and practicing and training and learning new skills and everything else related to prepping, being this sick is probably the worst timing for me because of the fact that I'm just not myself and I'm not going to be able to put 100% into just about anything I'm doing right this second. So that's very unfortunate, but that's also why I have to expect that this would be the time these things would occur. So do what you can in order to have your plans in place for that situation. So if your biggest downfall for what would happen to you during the immediate SHTF is the fact that like you don't have any money, so you're out of gas or whatever it is, think about that ahead of time and say, okay, well, if I'm always on empty and I know I'm always broke and I know SHTF is going to happen on that day where I have zero gas and zero cash at my convenience, then you should probably have some gas laying around, some gas cans filled up and ready to go. Even if you can't afford them, the idea of having that extra put aside that you don't use just to get you by till the next paycheck is probably a good idea. And as for me right now, having ample supply of cold medicine and cough drops and stuff like that is something I already have, but it's something I definitely need because it can at least give me a little bit of relief from the symptoms that I'm currently experiencing, which can then hopefully help me get through that initial impact of an SHTF scenario. And you can apply this to just about anything else you have going on in your life. But at the end of the day, sorry about my voice. It's like I said, it's not going very well. We have to assume that if something terrible happens, which, you know, we all hope it doesn't, but if it ever does, it'll be at the day that would be the worst possible timing for you, the worst possible timing for me, and just in general at our lowest low. So prepare for that. And honestly, it's starting to look a lot more like that stuff's going to happen because with this inflation and this economy and the fact that we're all struggling on a regular basis means that at some point in time, we're probably going to hit our lowest low before everyone finally says, ah, yes, now we have actually reached the point of that SHTF you've been talking about. Great. I've already burned through a year's worth of supplies in the process, but let's see how it goes, right? So thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for having this conversation. And besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.